Ever get that feeling? Like two totally different people are duking it out inside your head.
Yeah, like you're constantly at war with yourself.
Exactly. One part of you craves, I don't know, excitement, new things.
Spontaneity,
Yeah, that. But then there's this other part, wants everything neat and predictable.
security, routine, all that.
Right. So today we're diving into something kind of wild. This idea that, well, this inner battle might actually be the secret to becoming the best version of ourselves.
That's a good way to put it.
We're using the 40 rules of love as our guide, especially Rule 35.
Which digs into this whole concept of how embracing our inner contradictions can actually, well, help us grow.
So it's not about picking sides, squashing one part of yourself to let the other win.
Nope. This rule is saying true growth comes from acknowledging all these different, sometimes opposing forces inside us. And get this, embracing them.
That's pretty radical when you think about it.
It really is. And the book uses this term, Insan-i Kâmil, to describe, well, they call it the perfect human being.
Insan-i Kâmil. Sounds
Yeah.
kind of, I don't know, mythical.
Yeah, it does have that ring to it. But the idea is that this state of wholeness, this perfect human being, isn't achieved by getting rid of our contradictions.
But by bringing them together.
Exactly. Integrating them.
So how would a person like that, someone embodying this Insan-i Kâmil idea, actually act in everyday life? What would that even look like?
Okay, imagine someone who can, say, face a tough situation with both logic and intuition. Someone who's both tough when they need to be, but also kind and compassionate. Someone who can be disciplined, stick to a plan, but also be spontaneous, go with the flow when it's called for.
That's a lot to juggle.
It is. But they wouldn't be trapped in rigid patterns, you know? They could adapt to whatever life throws at them.
That makes sense. It's not about becoming perfect in the sense of being flawless or always right.
Right. It's more about developing this inner flexibility, wisdom even.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this all fits together. It's like you need both sides of the coin to really understand the value of each.
Exactly. And this idea, you know, it's not brand new. It's found in tons of spiritual and philosophical traditions.
Oh yeah, like what comes to mind for me is that yin and yang symbol.
From Taoism. Yeah, that's a great example. It shows how things that seem opposite are actually connected. And even more, they're essential for harmony.
You need both, light and darkness, right?
Absolutely. And Rule 35 takes this concept even further, applying it to the idea of faith.
Okay, this is where I got a little tripped up, to be honest.
Yeah, it can be a head scratcher.
It says faith needs its opposite, disbelief, to actually exist. How does that even work?
It seems backwards, right? But the book suggests that questioning and doubting, instead of being like the enemies of faith, can actually be crucial steps in its development.
It's like those moments when you're really wrestling with uncertainty that your beliefs actually get stronger, more, I don't know, resilient.
Exactly. It's in those moments of doubt that our faith is tested and, if it survives, refined, leading to, well, a more mature and resilient faith.
So you're saying you can't fully appreciate the light unless you've experienced darkness.
It's the contrast that gives it meaning. And this idea, honestly, it applies to so much more than just faith.
Like what?
Well, think about creativity. Sometimes the most groundbreaking ideas, the really innovative stuff, comes from embracing limitations, challenging the way things have always been done.
That tension, that push and pull between what is and what could be,
Yeah,
that's where the magic happens.
you got it. It's like the friction sparks the inspiration.
Okay, this whole conversation is making me think about all those times I've felt this inner tug of war myself. You know, those big life decisions. Should I play it safe or take a risk? Or even those everyday choices. Should I follow my head or my heart?
Those are the moments that define us, right?
And man, they can be exhausting. But maybe, like you're saying, those struggles are actually a good sign.
Absolutely. Think of them as opportunities, chances to learn more about ourselves, to figure out what we truly value, and, you know, to develop the skills we need to handle whatever life throws at us.
I'm starting to see those inner opposites in a whole new light.
That's the goal. This whole deep dive was about getting us to think about those contradictions, not as something to fear or suppress, but as something essential to who we are.
This has been, wow, really insightful. I know I'll be pondering this for a while.
Me too. And here's a question for everyone listening. If embracing those inner contradictions is the key to growth, what opposite do you need to acknowledge, maybe even explore within yourself today?
It's not about getting rid of one side or the other, but about finding a way for them to work together.
To create a more complete, a more authentic you.
Something to think about for sure. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. Until next time.
See you then.